and gentlemen, welcome to the Loan Tonight show, starring Mike, Troyan, and tonight's special guest, Vanac the Vantastic.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are in for a real treat today. We have a visitor with us, a visitor from the Far East. She has traveled thousands of miles to be with us. She is a soothsayer. She knows everything. I even asked her if she could help with the Powerball numbers, and she indicated that she would talk to me about that later. But she is so intelligent, she even knows the answers to questions before the question has even been asked. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Vanac, the Vantastic. Vanac, how was the travel today?
It was a little bit long, but we are here.
Well, as we both know, you have divine powers. You're able to ascertain answers to questions before the questions have even been asked. I happen to have and hold in my hand the envelopes that contain the questions that you will give the answers to before the question has even been asked. These envelopes have been hermetically sealed. They've been guarded all night by a German shepherd named Terra Storm. No one knows the contents of these envelopes, but you, with your divine wisdom, will be able to give us the answer to the questions. The first envelope.
007.
007.
That's what I said. What is the IQ of the HUD team who created the New Faith disclosures?
Great comment. The good faith estimates that the HUD team put together, they ran them by about 50 people that have nothing to do with mortgages. And they indicated this is a good form. As we all know, it's designed to give comparisons. For example, I get a phone call and the individual says, "Hi, I've already picked my lender, but I was wondering if you could take 30 minutes to give me a comparison on the good faith estimate." No. And so that is how that is handled. I hold in my hand the next envelope.
We pay $2,400 a month in rent, and my husband keeps opening credit. Does he drive? Please remove those car keys. And a lower mortgage payment may well be a compensating factor.
Very astute of you, Vanac. You see, compensating factors are permissible in underwriting of FHA loans. In fact, in the FHA underwriting manual, there's a section on compensating factors. We happen to have a client who pays $2,400 a month in Noblesville for rent. They're wanting to buy a home. They have had some problems on revolving credit, which has kept their credit score a bit down. However, in talking to the chief underwriter, the comment was made, if they're capable of paying $2,400 a month on time and the new mortgage payment's going to be $2,000 a month, we conclude they're going to pay that on time. That is a compensating factor, and we will move forward with their transaction. So compensating factors, a lot of people ignore that. It is something that is in the handbook. It is permissible, and you're not limited, by the way, to what is in that section. You may come up with a compensating factor. It just needs to be documented and sent into underwriting, and people are getting loans approved and insured by the Department of Housing and Urban Development because of compensating factors also. The next envelope.
I am a slug in my second year of bankruptcy.
I'm a slug in my second year of bankruptcy.
Maybe say it for the third time. Is your bankruptcy a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13? And is there a house involved?
Ah, very astute, O wise one. If the bankruptcy is a Chapter 7, typically there's a 2-year wait from the date of the discharge before you can buy a home. However, if the bankruptcy is a Chapter 7 and a house was involved, typically the wait is 3 years from the date of the discharge. However, if you are in a Chapter 13, it is possible to get permission from your trustee, giving you that permission to enter into a purchase agreement to buy a home. You would be dealing with the trustee. A very good point, Vanac.
Thank you.
The next envelope.
My checking account has $2 in it, and my credit score is 600. Do you know about Chenoa, the non-for-profit?
Very good point. Very good point. There is a not-for-profit by the name of Chenoa. They will gift down payment assistance to a home buyer who has a credit score of 600. We've closed a number of these loans, and as a consequence, one that was approximately $250,000, they gifted the home buyer $16,000. If the payments are made on time for 36 months, it's forgivable. If the home buyer also needs help with closing costs, they will also contribute another 1.5% of the purchase price. It's enabling folks to buy homes that could never, ever buy them. The next envelope.
My employer pays me under the table. Have you ever heard about that?
My employer pays me under the table. I have recently heard about something like that.
Do you know how to contact the IRS office at 575 North Pennsylvania Avenue?
Yes, quite frankly, that is not the way business is to be run by an employer, paying people cash under the table. The problem that the individual has, when they go to buy a home, they're going to be asked for their most recent 2 years of federal tax returns, and if they're on a W-2, the W-2s. In this example, nobody would have that documentation, and therefore they would be sitting on the sidelines. The next envelope.
We're living in a tent down by the White River.
Living in a tent by the White River.
Sounds homey.
Yes.
Bring a fishing pole.
Yes.
Where you will be living until your credit score becomes 600.
Ah, so astute of you, oh wise one. Because credit scores are a determining factor enabling one to become a homeowner. While it's true, there are some programs that would allow financing below 500. They typically are viewed as a form of non-conforming. Typically interest rates are higher. There could even be a prepayment penalty. The magic number is get that middle score to 600, and then the door opens wider for you. For example, Chenoa contributing funds for the down payment. I hold in my hands the last envelope.
Mommy, there's 2 sheriffs in my driveway.
2 sheriff cars in the driveway.
Did your father make the 3 delinquent mortgage payments?
Ooh. Well, that's a good reason those sheriff cars are in the driveway. If one has an FHA loan, guess what, folks? There are loss mitigation options in there to help save the home. For example, they have one loss mitigation option that would allow for a repayment plan. Maybe since you've recovered from whatever it was that caused you to be in default on the mortgage, you can pay a payment and a third until you're caught up, and that prevents a foreclosure. There's a second loss mitigation program. It's called loan modification. You might be 6 or 7 or 8 months behind on your mortgage, but you've recovered from what it was that threw you behind. They now can take the delinquent payments, add them into the loan. At the end of the loan, you simply have 8 more months to pay, and now you are automatically brought current. In fact, there's a third loss mitigation option that the Secretary of HUD has, you could be 12 months behind on your mortgage and still save your home. The Secretary of HUD would enter into a promissory note with you, funding you the 12 months. It would be recorded as a second lien on the home. It would be due and payable upon the refinance of the house or sale of the home. But guess what? There's no repayment program involved with it, and there's no interest rate on the promissory notes. However, HUD has had so many people that were afforded this opportunity to save their homes, they wanted to make voluntary payments, and HUD had to open up a payment processing center in Stamford, Connecticut for voluntary payments. That gives one an idea of the American spirit, people wanting to repay even though they don't have to do that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are so fortunate to have Vanac with us today, as she has given us some very good information. And I want to mention to you that Vanac also holds a real estate license, and you can reach her and contact her as far as selling your home or looking for homes. I can tell you that she is a very, very hard worker, and Vanessa Shake is her real name with Keller Williams. And I am a former federal underwriter with the federal government. I spent 8 years of my life doing that. And my comment simply to you is, if you're thinking of buying a home or refinancing, or you have a workmate, or you have a neighbor, or you have a relative thinking about buying a home, I'm the guy with over 20,000 hours of hands-on underwriting experience. My signature made the loan.